Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with former President Mahama, who has picked nomination forms to contest in the flagbearership race. He has the backing of all the regional chairmen, plus his former contender, Professor Joshua Alabi.
As you are aware, we are in very difficult times in this country. The economy is in shambles. In fact, you cannot even define the exact word for it. People are suffering. And the summary here is that people are crying for the National Democratic Congress to come back. The NDC has gone through all its structures, election last year, and it's time for us to come out for the leadership. The flag bearer will be leading us to the 2024 election. Ghanaians are not only asking for the NDC to come back, but they are asking for a well-experienced leader. In this game, the current economic crisis in this country, leadership counts. Two keywords, leadership counts. And if leadership counts, then experience is the key. One who has done it before, and one who is very humble, one who shows love to the people, and one who believes in people-centered policies. When you are coming out with a policy, you have to factor in the people. You carry the people along. Fortunate for us in the NDC and the country as a whole, we have somebody like that. And we can't afford to allow him to sit down whilst we have a very huge challenge, tax to surmount. So we are here to pick his form and to work for him. Working for him is not only working for him, but working for the National Democratic Congress and working for the people of Ghana. They need us, and we need to lead. I'm very confident that come 2024 December, January 2025, NDC will be forming the new government.
Chairman of the NDC Election Committee, Kakre Samoa, urged former President John Dramani Mahama to do his best to liberate Ghanaians from the current economic hardship.
To liberate this country from the overpowering stench of uselessness in the Jubilee House. I'm very happy that you are here. You have a very heavy duty because removing a tyrant is an extremely frightening job. But you said you'll do it. We trust you. You are part of us. We know you're also suffering. So we know that you do your best for all the people of Ghana, including ourselves. I take it that you know what it means to be president of Ghana in these very sorry times. Let me tell you a small story. On 28th February 1948, soldiers who are retired. You remember the story, don't you? A few days to come, you have the anniversary. Soldiers who have retired demonstrated. I was not born. Prof, I don't know whether I was born. But nobody ever dreamt that it will happen again. Can you imagine that pensioners are going on strike? On the Kufado. You know what I'm talking about.
Dean of all the regional chairmen, Kwesi Japong, pledged their support to the former President John Dramani Mahama and says they are well poised to do all in their bid to ensure he wins the elections.
Come and take your people out of this mess, this economic mess, and that is why he asked him to stay for some time. And he stayed very healthy, very strong, a young man, dynamic, very experienced, and can do anything to bring Ghana back to where it belongs. And that is why he is coming. I have been in Parliament from 1992. In 1996, John Dramani Mahama came and he sat behind me. So I've been with him for a number of years, you know, when I became the regional chairman. This is somebody I've worked with for a very long time. And now as a regional chairman, if it were you, among those people who are coming, just to see one person even here today, I haven't even seen him before. I have been in the gutters, in the drains for the past 30 years. Some of them, you don't even know them. Then you jump and you come, you want to be a president of this country. Because NDC, people see that the economic things are not going well. So let's take an advantage. That will not be fine.
You are the dean of the regional chairman.
Yes.
Do we take it that all the regional chairmen in Ghana are for JM?
For goodness sake, all my regional chairmen, all the regional chairmen for National Democratic Congress, from Upper East to Western North, each of them, I say, each of them in their own capacity, as whether Big Edu, as whether Musa, as whether Nanatoku, as whether Big Edu, as whether Ashimo or whatever, as John Kojo Japan, as Agbabito support John Dramani Mahama. And almost all of them are here. But for 2-3 people who ask permission for other reasons why they are not here, all of us, and take it from me as a dean, all of them. And I can tell you, even the whole country, almost all the constituency chairmen, you won't get 2 or 3 that will go against John Dramani Mahama. No. In NDC, we respect commitment, loyalty, you understand, and someone who has the country at stake. And that is for you, John Dramani Mahama. That's why we are all going out for him. I can assure you, mark my word, the other time John had 95% Today, 13th May, John will not get any listen less than 98% Take it from me.
Majority Leader of Parliament, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, has called for the urgent need for a change in Ghana's constitution to reflect the current global changing times. He was speaking at a ceremony to celebrate 30 years of parliamentary democracy. We can cross over to Parliament right now because Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is addressing the House.
So he did a lot to groom the early birds of the Fourth Republic. That is my lecturer, my teacher, my former speaker, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Michael Kwe, who is now having a chair at the Institute of Economic Affairs, continuing with his writing, publications, and his tutorship. Prof, congratulations. Now, you see the make of yours truly. Yours truly, the Right Honorable Alban Kingsford Bagbin, is the product of all this. And so many of the things that trouble you, they don't trouble me at all. I've seen it all. I've seen the ups and the downs. I've seen people weep and the tears turn to joy. And so when you come complaining about what is happening, I say, please, with God on your side, you smile at the storm. And let me take this opportunity to remind all of you of the fact that our dear nation has accepted to host the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference this year in Accra.
Let's speak with parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who has been monitoring events for us. Kweku, I know that many dignitaries graced this occasion, including the former Chief Justice of Ekofo and a host of others. What have they also been saying?
So there was a message from civil society, from CDD, who spoke on behalf of the civil society. They say that Parliament has been a bastion for Ghana's democracy. It is because of the way this Parliament is set up, especially this 8th Parliament, that Ghanaians are beginning to have some form of confidence and trust in the ability of Ghana's democracy to deliver. But they are also very much aware that this Parliament has some kind of expectations from the people and have not been able to live to that. Despite being a near-hung parliament with both sides having 137 MPs, they've not been able to deliver the kind of expectations that people have over them, and so they need to do more. But just like you said, we've also been hearing from the majority leader, Chairman Sabonsu, who's been outlining a number of constitutional amendments he wants to be seen done. For instance, he wants to see the Speaker of Parliament be a member of Parliament himself. He wants to see more female MPs in Parliament. He wants to see a number of changes that will ultimately democratize Ghana's Parliament and make it the forum that Ghanaians will trust to deliver on their mandate. We've also been hearing from Dr. Kiselato Fosen, who is the minority leader, who says that both sides need to work together and that the days of strife, the days of conflict, the days of violence, the days of intense disagreements must all come to an end, and both sides of the House must be able to work together. The Speaker of Parliament is expected to deliver the keynote. Is now doing some acknowledgement of both the previous leaders of the House and some dignitaries that are in Parliament. But what we expect him to detail is what this Parliament can do to deliver on the mandates of the people. Being a near-hung Parliament, like I've mentioned earlier, the expectation is that this Parliament will be able to hold government to account. There are those who have said that this Parliament has not been able to do so. And despite the numbers being near parity, the majority side, the government side, has still been able to get their way through. And so he's expected to deliver in terms of his own opinion how this can be dealt with.
And talking about the change in constitution for Ghana, how are his own members or colleagues in Parliament taking this?
Indeed, when the majority leader made those remarks, there were some cheers and boos on both sides of the House. There are those who believe that this constitution is working in its current state and that there is no need to try and alter it. And there are those who believe that Parliament must do something to change the constitution to fit the current modern trends. And that the constitution, since it was promulgated in 1992, it started being taking effect in 1993, it was amended somewhere in 1996, it has not been changed to fit the current modern trends. And so some of these new changes must happen. Those are the expectations of the majority leader, and some members of his side agreed to it. As to what form it should take is what has been dividing the House and also the general public. We know, for instance, Fix the Country and other such organizations believe that the Constitution in its entirety should be changed, while there are those who believe that the Constitution must go through some series of amendments to be able to fit the modern times.
Kwekwa Sante is our correspondent in Parliament, and as he indicated, the keynote address is being delivered by the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, will definitely bring you more from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Let's move on to other stories. The Ghana National Association of Teachers is debunking claims that staff of any union among the NAT is among those who were involved in the school placement scandal, as alleged by the spokesperson of the Education Ministry. Speaking to Joy News, Thomas Musa, who is General Secretary, says he's challenging the ministry to actually provide the report that says so.
I think somewhere last year there was a problem that happened, and it came to our attention that some investigations were done, and we've also heard that there has been a report that has been produced out of that particular investigation. I have not seen a copy of that particular report. Nobody came here to ask me anything. Now, today, it came to my attention that Kwesi Kwarteng has granted anything saying that the people found in the video or whatever it is, they are not staff and that they work here. The question is that, how do you know that they work here? The question we need even to ask further is that is Kwesi Kwarteng telling us that all the people that come to the Ministry of Education, they are staff of the ministry? So the fact that somebody is here doesn't mean that the person is a staff of the organization. That is unacceptable. And you end up, you absorb all the stuff from the Ministry of Education, that the person doesn't work or they don't work at the Ministry of Education, that they work here, not here. We think that is unacceptable. If Kwesi Kwarteng believes in the report that the committee released, then publish it. If you don't want to talk about the report, why should you start judging people and pronouncing people guilty when the report is undercover or the report has not yet been disclosed or been put into the public domain? We think that is unfortunate. And one thing that must be put on record is this. Look, the Ghana Education Service must remember where they are coming from. They are coming from the Independence Square. That was where the school placement started. So even if they have nothing to thank NAT for, they cannot forget that they started from the Independence Square. Today, you indict us together with our staff. You put our names into the public domain, that we are the people responsible for it. You put my staff out there. No NAT staff is involved. No NAT staff is involved in this particular thing. No NAT staff was involved. Let Kwesi Kwarteng come and tell us. Let him come and tell us. Let him come and tell us.
With the UN citing 40% of homes do not have safe drinking water, experts in the sector have for years been advocating for the proper treatment of the commodity where it is available, though it has proved difficult to achieve, sometimes due to behavioral or financial constraints. The use of varying methods to treat water has been adopted by homes and communities as a means of preventing water-related diseases. It's, however, been realized that more needs to be done through research, and one of the commodities that needs to be employed, the methods of filtering can actually be the source of contamination. Hannah Odame has been speaking to experts of safe water and has filed this report.
Joy News has reported on a number of cases where some pupils miss school or report late to school because they have to work long hours in search of water. Some teenage girls have also had to forfeit classes when they are menstruating because of lack of sanitary pads and also lack of water to keep them clean during the period. Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire, Patrick Archie, who does not think scarcity of safe water should continue to be a problem in Africa, outlined what he called the panacea to get and save water to all homes ahead of the 2030 declared targeted year.
Africa must prioritize building appropriate structures for the treatment and distribution of water. There should also be proper use of waste for renewable resources so that it can be used as energy in the rural areas.
Une multiplication par 12 des taux de progrès.
AFWA President Dr. Sylvia Mugisha hammered on the importance of governments focusing on acting on recommendations from such events and not just outlining them in their policies.
Our actions have the power to change the African water and sanitation sector and inspire others in our lives to get up and take actions too. I want to suggest to all this gathering 5 top focus areas we can look at. 1, technological innovation, and there are significant financial and technical returns that will accrue from investing in this area of technology innovation. 2, evolving sustainable infrastructure financing options, including use of corporate cash flows to access financial markets. 3, strengthening people and systems through a plethora of productivity management arrangements, leadership and management competencies and talent identification. 4, streamlining corporate governance and enabling legislation. And finally, inculcating a strong continuous improvement culture through relevant capacity building.
Officials of the Ghana Water Company who were at the event to showcase projects they are conducting in rural areas and also woo investors shared with Joy News some new initiatives they had picked from the conference that will help them better improve on their production and distribution. Stanley Marty is head of communication at the company.
So we are picking on equipment that we can use in monitoring water quality in real time. So we'll be measuring the raw water quality and then at every stage of the production process till it gets to our homes. So we are in negotiations or in discussions with companies that can help us mount technology that can help us get all this information in real time.
The ceremony ended with the name change from Africa Water Association, AFWA, to Africa Water and Sanitation Association. From Abidjan, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
From Abidjan back to Accra, NPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Shermantin says he will bring back the economy to life if he is elected president of Ghana. The country is before the International Monetary Fund for a $3 billion bailout. Speaking during his tour of the northern region, the former Trade and Industry Minister said the NPP initiated a lot of pro-poor initiatives, but fears the NDC will discontinue all of that if it wins the 2024 elections. He says that's why it is crucial for the NPP to break the 8.
Alan Shermantin supporters singing and dancing at the Gbewa Palace before the arrival of the NPP flag bearer hopeful. At the Palace of the Yana, the former Trades and Industry Minister formally informed the Yana of his decision to resign as a minister and pursue his presidential ambitions. In his speech, he said the NPP has implemented many social intervention programs, but fears the NDC would discontinue the policies if it wins the 2024 elections. He says that is why it is important for the NPP to win, and the only person who can help the party break the 8 is him, Alan Shermantin.
The president has introduced many important interventions in this country. We've introduced the free SHS policy, the one district, one factory policy, the planting for food and jobs, Agenda 111, and many other such interventions. Your Majesty, it will be a tragedy of history that if NPP is unable to continue in government, that all these very important policies will be discontinued if another government takes over from the NDC. It is therefore our wish that for the first time in the history of our country, that the NPP government can continue after 8 years in office so that all these laudable projects will be sustained.
Many Ghanaians continue to raise concerns about high inflation, depreciation of the Ghana cedi, and the general worsening economic conditions. Alan Shermantin says he will revive the economy if he is elected president.
Your remarks, you indicated that the current challenges that confront our economy, hopefully, will be a thing of the past. Your Majesty, I want to assure you that if through your blessings and your prayers, your own son and very good friend becomes the leader of our party and subsequently the president of this country, that I'll bring the economy back to life. It will not just be through my efforts, but it will be by the grace and mercy of Allah.
No matter how well you can express yourself in the Queen's English as Ghanaian, you have a mother tongue. That's the language you have grown up speaking from childhood. For February 21 was International Mother Language Day, a day set aside to promote the speaking of your mother tongue. But why is this day significant? There's more in this report.
With me, I know that with English, when you know it, you will be well able to understand anything that will be taught at school.
Who I am is what I speak. I'm an hunter, and so I should speak my language.
Language is the most effective tool for preserving and developing our tangible and intangible heritage. It is by far man's most important asset, through which he can study and understand the values and concerns of the society. Language is essential to every aspect of our human interaction. We use language to communicate what we feel, what we desire, and how we understand the world around us.
English was seen as a language of the lowest class. You can't do education in English. But now look at the situation. So our question to ourselves needs to be, at what point in time do we develop that type of idea of, let's do things in our own indigenous languages. Let's develop our own indigenous languages. Let's even look at what the English did as a model, the British did as a model, that look, they used their own indigenous language, and then looked at their relative languages. So you can find German inside of there. You know, it's an Anglo-Saxon language, so Germanic as a root. But you can find degrees of Gaelic, Welsh, French, of course, all these Latin stems. Then they went out of their way to bring in Greek stems, you know, for scientific terms, things of that nature, Latin terms for legal things. So they're saying we're going to take all of our cousins' languages and combine them together. So for us as African people, very rarely do you have any type of concept of, do you know what, let's use perhaps an indigenous African language and combine it with other indigenous African languages.
Language expert Dr. Inimaria Fiakenteng has been explaining why we need to do more to ensure that there is a speaking of our mother tongues. She spoke on Joy News Desk.
I wish we could have organized a national event promoting and encouraging the use of our mother tongue, our various local languages. We have 7 standard ones that are used in broadcasting and in national events. Yes, that could have been promoted. Events, issues, cultural stuff, traditional stuff, knowledge of how our forefathers, used to build the nation, our cultural heritage. All these could have been demonstrated to help promote the mother tongue, our culture, our heritage, and also for knowledge for our generation.
We're still live on Joy News today, coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle.